Hi everyone, welcome back to Bible Unleashed. In today's episode, we are going to see about one of the greatest kings that ever existed, the kingdom of Israel. And his name was King Solomon. Solomon was the son of King David, the last sovereign of the ancient kingdom of Israel, builder of the first Jerusalem temple, and is traditionally viewed as the author of 3 biblical books: Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, and Songs of Solomon. He was renowned for his wealth, wisdom, abundance of wives and concubines, and the peacefulness of his reign. Later in his life, he would succumb to the temptations of idol worship, for which he was punished by having his kingdom split into competing domains, with his son ruling over the smaller one. Virtually all of what is known about Solomon comes from biblical accounts, and other ancient texts and scholars are divided on how accurate they are. Little archaeological evidence has been found to corroborate the Bible's florid descriptions of Solomon's wealth and the lavish constructions project he undertook in Jerusalem. Though that might be due in part of the difficulty of digging in a city at the epicenter of centuries of religious and political strife. Whatever the historical fact, Solomon looms large in Jewish tradition and beyond it. Solomon and his temple specifically is also a central symbol of the Freemasons, who often name their Lord's temple. Legends of Solomon's ability to control demons, create gold out of other material, and perform other supernatural feats have been embraced by adherents of magic and occultism since medieval times. It is said that Solomon reigned over the kingdom of Israel about a millennium before the dawn of the Common Era. The most extensive account of his life is found in 1 Kings. Then we learn that he was the son of Sheba, the woman David famously saw bathing on a roof, and took a wife after sending her husband away to die in a battle. After assuming the throne upon David's death, Solomon began carrying out a purge, ordering the death of his older brothers Adonijah, who had sought to usurp the throne, and Joab, commander of his father's army. The source of Solomon's wisdom is contained in a story related in the 3rd chapter of 1 Kings, which describes God coming to Solomon in a dream and offering to grant him a wish rather than ask for riches or power. Solomon asked for wisdom. This response pleases God, who responds by granting him wisdom along with the riches and glory and long life that he didn't even ask for. Thus Solomon became the wisest of all men in all Israel. This incident is followed in 1 Kings by what is perhaps the most famous Solomon story of all, in which 2 women came before him, both claiming to be the mother of a baby. Solomon calls for a sword and says the solution is to cut the baby in 2 and give 1/2 to each woman. One of the women agrees to the solution, but the other protests, saying she should rather give up the child up and then see it killed. Solomon thus determines that the later woman is the child's mother. As the final verse of the chapter relates, the story burnished Solomon's credentials as a possessor of transcendent wisdom. When all Israel heard the decision that the king had rendered, they stood in awe of the king, for they saw that he possessed divine wisdom to execute justice. Solomon's kingdom was vast, wealthy, and prosperous. According to the biblical account, he possessed 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses and presided over a significant trading enterprise. Solomon's reign was also a peaceful one. With those blessings in hand, he determined to build the temple in Jerusalem in fulfillment of a promise God had made to David, that his son would build a house for God. He secured cypress and cedar wood from Lebanon and hewn stone from the finest quarries, and the interiors were overlaid with gold and adorned with carved reliefs of cherubim and plum, and the construction took almost 7 years. The temple was far by the most important construction project Solomon undertook, establishing Jerusalem as a locus of Jewish prayer to this day. But it was not only thing he built. He also built a lavish palace fashioned from hewn stone, choice woods, and bronze. 1 Kings describes the details of this palace at length, including the size and materials of all its various structures as well as decorative elements. He also fortified cities elsewhere in this kingdom, in Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer, and built garrison towns. Solomon's retinue of consorts was also legendary: 700 wives and 300 concubines, according to the biblical account. Among these were the daughter of the Egyptian pharaoh, whom Solomon set up in her own residence in Jerusalem. Only one of Solomon's wives was ever named, Naamah, the mother of Jeroboam, who would succeed Solomon in ruling over the split kingdom of Judah. Among the more enigmatic stories of Solomon's dalliances is his encounter with Queen of Sheba, a story told twice in the Bible and elaborated upon in later Jewish sources. In the biblical narrative, Sheba hears of Solomon's legend and travels to Jerusalem to meet him with a large entourage. According to the text, Sheba is so impressed with Solomon's wisdom and pastoral surroundings, she is left breathless. She gives Solomon's gold, spices, and precious stones before returning home. A later tradition suggests the two had held a relationship that resulted in a child who would eventually give rise to Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian king who destroyed the Solomon's temple in 586 BCE. Solomon's many wives included women from nations that God had commanded the Israelites never to marry, lest they led their husbands to worship foreign gods. And this is precisely what happened to Solomon, who began to worship foreign gods and even build shrines to them. As punishment, God decided to take the kingdom away from Solomon. But out of the deference to his father, God does so only after Solomon's death, leaving only one tribe for his son to rule. In an echo of the legend about Solomon siring the lineage that would ultimately lead to the destruction of the temple, the Talmud records a teaching that after Solomon married Pharaoh's daughter, an angel implanted a reed into the seed and a sandbar grew around it. That was the eventual site of Rome, which destroyed the Second Temple in 70 CE. Solomon died after ruling for 40 years and was laid to rest in Jerusalem. He was the last ruler of the United Kingdom of Israel. After his death, he was succeeded by his son, Rehoboam, who was rejected by the 10 tribes in the north, splitting the kingdom between the kingdom of Israel and the smaller kingdom of Judah. Solomon's reign is therefore remembered in many respects as a golden era in the Israelites' history. Thanks for watching. If you like to see more content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.